Hi everybody, my name is Mary Lou and we're here for another installation of my little crafting adventures. This one has been a little bit longer in the making. I think I've been working on this project for 2 weeks. Yeah, it's this, let's see here, hold on. I have this beautiful crochet collar that I made, and I also did matching cuffs. So you have a little button here. Aren't they cute? I really like them, and the crochet part didn't take that long. It was mostly figuring out how to attach them to my cardigan in a way that was going to keep them in place and also be like relatively invisible. So what I ended up with was this magnetic tab system, and I think I've got like 5 or yeah, maybe 7 on the collar, and I've got 3 on each of the cuffs. And the other thing I noticed was that when it came to the cuffs, they really only work with this cardigan. And I do have other cardigans, like other Land's End cardigans, that because that's where I buy, like, they just make good cardigans. And so I tried these cuffs on with like another cardigan, and they did not it didn't work out. They just kept, I just couldn't keep them in place. So that's, you know, a note to self, but I'm going to take you through some of the production process for this. I started out doing a different collar just to get one in 3 dimensions, so that a very simple patterns, just to see kind of like what I was getting myself into with making one of these. And so let's go to that now. This is the collar that I made, and I don't like it for a couple reasons. First of all, it's too small. It's so like it's tight and it won't go. I want something that's going to go around the collar of my cardigan, so it's got to be bigger. Also, I think the design is just like lacking, and it doesn't have the edging on it, but still, it's like I pounded this out in about an hour and a half, and it was like, I don't know. I'm not feeling it on this collar, but it was really good to just like get one made so that I know what I'm doing a little better moving forward, as far as like, you know, what my pattern is that I'm looking for. Okay, anyways, that's what I wanted to show you, and on to the next. Okay, so we've seen the first collar. So the second collar, I used another free pattern. It looked like this on the internet right here, and I thought it was really pretty, and I actually had a shirt with something similar going on, but what I did notice about it is that it was made from like worsted weight yarn, so it was going to be like thicker, and it was going to look more like sweatery and less like a lace or a doily. So what I decided to do was take that pattern and modify it. The first thing I did was I doubled the size. Like I doubled the chains, and I decided to double the rows, which was a good call. And then when it came down to making these little, like you can see, the pattern works basically in columns with double crochets between the columns that gradually increase in width. And for the collar, that helps it to lay flat. I keep bumping my table here, sorry. That helps it to lay flat. And anyways, I went through a couple different iterations of this increase in stitches. And so I think what I ended up with was really good. Okay. So here's the situation. And you could see, like, that was very easy to take off. You'll see that there's a column here, and the column has, it starts out with the V's and the I's, and then it goes into a basic shell pattern. So it starts out with half double crochets. It goes into what I call V's and VI's, which is a combination of 2 double crochets with 2 chains in between in one stitch, and 1 double crochet in like the next stitch, and you go every other stitch. So I started out with the V's, and then I went to the VI's because it was just too much increase not to do that. And it's a basic shell is DC2, chain 2, DC2. And so in the next one, I think I did, yes, DC2, chain 2, DC2. And then I did the DC3s, and I did 2 rows of DC3s. And then I did the fan, which I believe is 8 8 double crochets. And so it's a really basic pattern. It's super easy to pound this out. It didn't take that long to do the crochet part. But then when I got to finishing, what I did is I did single crochets up the side because I wanted it to be, you know, I didn't want it to look raw. And so after that, to reinforce the collar portion, because I knew I was going to be putting these tabs on, I just chain stitched all the way down the collar and to get to the other side where I put my single crochets, and that's where I finished it. I didn't do any edging on the bottom of the collar because I thought that might cause it to pucker. And so I'm really glad I did that too because it looks beautiful. So when it comes to the tabs, the first thing I tried was I tried a chain 5 tab, and I thought, oh, it just needs to, you know, grab on to like this much, the width of these little magnets that I got. And that's when I realized that. And so for the chain 5, I was using like felt to enclose the magnets, and I found that like mesh works better. And so what I have here is I have 2 layers of fine mesh, and we can cut to we can cut to that in a minute. Maybe not right this second, but yeah, I started thinking, oh, 1mm felt is a really good way to hold these in place. And the problem that I was having with them was that it just was too much fabric in between my magnets, between the like 2mm of felt and this thick like collar of the cardigan. Then I decided I was going to scrap that idea entirely, and I was going to go and try to use something thinner like net or organza. And I didn't have organza, I had mesh on hand, so that's what I ended up using, left over from Lydia's Halloween costume. She was a mermaid. And so then once I got the little, what I decided to do was make a separate pocket for the magnet and stitch it in, and then stitch the pocket front and back on. And I found that that was a really good way to control the magnets, because these magnets, oh my God, I cannot tell you how many hours I spent trying to sew these magnets into a little pocket of felt. It took probably 3 or 4 hours of time over the course of a couple of days, just trying to get them to where they needed to be, and then realizing that my plan wasn't going to work. It was so annoying. And that's what's taken so long with this project, was like figuring out how to make the construction make sense and be functional.
So it took me quite a lot of effort to figure out how to get these magnets into where they belong correctly. And so what I have found is that taking a piece of fine mesh, and I found that if I just folded it into quarters like this, and then I will eventually slide the magnet in here, where you can see these 2 folded edges come together, and I'll use this center fold right here to help stabilize everything. So working with these magnets has turned out to be an enormous pain in the rear end. Not gonna lie, it totally sucks. I'm not gonna miss this part of the project. It took me days to figure out how to control these magnets, because it wants to stick to the needle, and so you want to put it in a position where you only have to do 1 or 2 stitches, you know, while it can still pop out. And so now I've got my 2 edges here, and I'm going to tie my tails into a square knot. And the reason that I didn't use a knot at the end of my thread is because this mesh is fine, but it's not that fine. And I don't want to mess around with, you know, doing like 100 knots or something. I've got this little magnet in the mesh here, and it's tied in tightly, and it's not going to go anywhere. So now my next step is to cut out the circle that I'm going to blanket stitch. So now you can see I've got my little magnet here, and I'm going to start my blanket stitch. And you can see that I am, as I'm just doing this blanket stitch around, I'm stitching this end here into, you know, the trench of my blanket stitch, into the little tunnel. And that way, when I've got, you know, enough stitches in, I can just trim that end off and not have to think about it anymore. The next part that I wanted to talk to you about is polarity. So magnets, when they, you know, one side sticks, the other side doesn't. And what's important is to, you know, when I'm attaching the magnet to the little tab that is going to flip down, I just need to make sure that the right sides will go together. So that's how I do it. I stick them together, put it on, pull it off, and now, you know, I'm ready to work it into the correct space and then stitch it on. So the next part is to just stick them together, make sure they stick properly, and get this tab stitched on. Now, I really want these tabs to kind of be attached so that they're pretty invisible. When you look at it from the front, you're not really able to see that there's a tab back here. Like, if you know that you're looking for the stitching, you can kind of see it, but overall it's relatively invisible in that it does not extend above the top. What's important though is that while you don't want it to be visible from the top, you do need to have some slack in there because it's going to be going over, you know, layers of fabric. I like to make sure that it's like straight up and down because that's important to me. And then I kind of have it where I want it, then I bend it down. And that's where I want to attach it, is this line of stitches beneath the top row. Now, I bury my tails longer than is necessary, but that's because over time they might work out a little bit and you have to snip them off, and I don't want it to be too close to that knot. Okay, and there we have it, the first tab done. Now 5 more. I was hoping to wear this tomorrow. There's a bolt stuck these stupid magnets. Oh my god. You guys, I have lost my mind. This is nuts. So this is what I ended up with, and I'm really, really pleased because I've created something that's secure enough to stay in place all day. It can be removed quickly and easily without damage, and I'm going to be able to, you know, wear this for many years to come and, you know, look just as matronly as I please. Because let's be honest, that's exactly what I'm going for with this collar and these cuffs, right? Like, she's a fancy lady. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video, and I hope that you enjoy hearing about the things that I make. And if you do, go ahead and like and subscribe, comment down below if you have any thoughts or questions. I do read all the comments. I think my last video got 2, and both of you said you were glad to see me back, so my heart, thank you. I have been kind of wrestling with the idea of filming again for months, and I'm really glad to be creating content again and having it be something that reflects my actual interests and kind of where I am in my life right now. So I wanted to just thank you all for staying here with me, and welcome anybody who is finding me for the first time. I'm really glad you're here. I'll see you guys all in the next video, and until then, I hope that you find just a little bit of joy in every single day. Bye.